Welcome to PitStop Server version 13, the latest release of our distinguished PitStop product line. The following video has been designed to present the new features included within this major release. Within PitStop Server 13, it is now possible to create and edit action lists directly within the software. This is an enormous advantage over the previous versions, as it was necessary to export files to PitStop Pro to make adjustments or custom action lists, and then re-import them back into PitStop Server. This will especially make action lists that depend on job ticket-based variables much easier to manage and create. All actions and action lists found in PitStop 13 are now supported and available in PitStop Server version 13, but note that certain functions, such as to grab an element from within a PDF file, will not be possible simply because PitStop Server does not provide an interface to interact with an open PDF file. Missing or not enough bleed is a very common problem faced by anyone trying to print a PDF file. Previous versions of PitStop Server were able to extend rectangular vector-based objects in order to create bleed, but did not touch any other page content. With PitStop Server 13, we have a completely new approach, and one that works on all page content except for text. The new Add Bleed action list works on the premise of a properly defined trim and bleed box, and will provide the following properties for generating bleed from elements which are close to the page edge, but not fully extended to the edge of a bleed box. You'll find two new default action lists in the standard directory, which will not only add bleed, but also adjust the page boxes accordingly if necessary. PitStop Server corrects missing or insufficient bleed using two different methods. First, if bleed material is masked, PitStop Server will reveal these areas for bleed. Second, if no material is available, PitStop Server will use a mirroring technique to generate bleed. The mirrored objects that are generated to add bleed are copies of the original object that is being mirrored. This approach also means that any attributes of the original, such as color space, overprint settings, or ICC tags, are retained and copied. Mirrored objects are fully editable after being generated in case additional manual work is required in PitStop Pro. As with any adjustments made to a supplied file, you'll need to examine the results to ensure that the effect is acceptable and will not compromise the content. Customers have been requesting customizable PREFLIGHT messages for some time, so we are delighted to be able to deliver it in PitStop 13. PREFLIGHT messages are often seen as too technical, especially when the report is sent to a customer. So now you can write the reports using your own words, terminology, or even language. Configuring customized messages within PitStop Server is quite simple. Within a PREFLIGHT profile, which you'll immediately notice has an improved user interface, all categories and checks are now on the left side in a harmonica interface. We'll enable a check for ink coverage and set this value to 240%, for example. On the right side of this property, notice the pencil icon. When clicked, you'll enter the Customize Report Message Editor, which has two areas of importance. First, the top portion of this window will depict the default message for this check, while the bottom section is where the new customized message can be inserted. Start by clicking the Show Variables checkbox at the top. Next, copy and paste the default message, including the variables, and paste this into the new message area. Now, adjust the message. A customized message can work with or without the variables shown in the default message. However, a PREFLIGHT report will then only show the message as it appears in the new message field, without any reference to an entered value. Non-default language messages can be composed outside of PitStop Server and pasted into the new message field to expand a report's ability to be displayed in many additional languages. While in the Customize Report Message Editor, you'll notice at the bottom you can see this particular check has multiple messages, which is not unusual, as the amount of possible messages will depend on the configuration of the check itself and also if you have fixes turned on or off. You don't have to change all messages, edit only those messages you want to. All messages are embedded within the PREFLIGHT profile and will remain intact if the PREFLIGHT profile is shared with another PitStop user. After processing, notice a regular PREFLIGHT report and an annotated report, all now displaying our customized message. Customized messages are also valid within action lists, so it's now possible to adjust the messages for the many action list items which work similar to and can expand upon pre-flight checks. Messages can also be customized for action lists following a change as well. Within PitStop 13, we introduce a big addition to the way that pre-flight is carried out in PitStop Pro and Server with pre-flight restrictions. I say addition rather than change, as this new functionality is optional, so you only have to enable it if you want to use it. Pre-flight restrictions are accessible from the administrative settings of a pre-flight profile and can be managed from this area as well. Working with any number of standard restrictions can quickly get you familiar with the idea of pre-flight restrictions. For example, a pre-flight restriction can be based on a page range, allowing an operator to apply different pre-flight checks to specific sets of pages. An example workflow needs to have pre-flights based on a 4-color cover, pages 1 and 2, and the remaining pages in black and white. This is achieved now by selecting an appropriate restriction to isolate the first 2 pages of the document and applying a check. We'll check that the number of separations on pages 1 and 2 are equal to 4. Next, we'll add an additional restriction by clicking the Add Restriction Plus icon, which isolates all pages with the exception of the first 2 pages, and we'll add a check to ensure that these pages are limited to 1 separation. Although pre-flight restrictions may not be applicable to all pre-flight categories, restrictions can be quickly added to all categories by using the Create tab in All Categories button. Areas such as PDFX compliancy or security are 2 areas which obviously affect an entire document. Returning to the pre-flight restriction management screen, you can add new restrictions by clicking on the plus icon. The following screen mirrors that of a new action list window because pre-flight restrictions are in fact based on select action lists. This functionality provides for countless possibilities in pre-flight restrictions. Once PitStop Server processes a file with pre-flight restrictions, you'll see that the report now includes a pre-flight restriction prefix, noting which restrictions were applied to this pre-flight. With the installation of PitStop Server, the command line version of PitStop Server is also installed. In PitStop 13, we have added some functionality that is only available through the CLI version and the PitStop Server PDF-to-image configurator, not in the standard hot folder-based PitStop Server. The new functionality that has been added is the ability to convert a PDF file to an image. There are various options available. PNG and JPEG formats are supported in a variety of color spaces. Output can be composite or separated. For a full list of available features, please see the documentation for the PDF-to-image configurator for InFocus Switch. The PDF-to-image configurator is available in Switch 12 if the configurator module is present. In PitStop to Switch, it is currently not supported and will not be available until the release of Switch 13. Thank you for watching, and enjoy using the new features in our latest release of PitStop Server, version 13.